I used to think of myself as a rational person. I believe in science, in cause and effect, in things you can see, and touch, and prove. I live on the 27th floor of a high-rise in Chicago, a city of steel and logic. My world was solid, predictable, until the knocks started. It began 3 weeks ago. Precisely 3:33 in the morning, I was jolted awake by 3 distinct knocks on my front door. Thump, thump. Not frantic, not aggressive, just firm, deliberate. I stumbled out of bed, my heart pounding a nervous rhythm against my ribs. I peeked through the peephole. Nothing. The hallway was empty, bathed in the sterile fluorescent glow that never sleeps. I checked the time, 3:34 a.m. I dismissed it. A neighbor coming home late, maybe a bit drunk, wrong door, it happens. Went back to sleep. The next night, it happened again. 3:33 a.m., thump, thump. This time I was quicker. I flung the door open. The hallway was deserted. A chill that had nothing to do with the building's air conditioning crawled up my spine. Coincidence, I told myself. A weird, specific coincidence. On the third night, I was waiting. Sat on my couch, staring at the front door, my phone's clock glowing in the dark. 3:32. My breath hitched. 3:33. Thump, thump, exactly the same. I didn't move. I just sat there, listening to the silence that followed. This wasn't a coincidence. The next day I bought a security camera, small, discreet one, pointed directly at my front door from the inside. I needed proof. I needed a logical explanation. That night I went to bed, but I didn't sleep. I just watched the live feed on my phone. 3:33 a.m. on the dot. Thump, thump. I saw my door shudder slightly with each impact. But on the screen, the hallway beyond was utterly, completely empty. No person, no object, nothing. Just the empty, silent corridor. My blood ran cold. The rational part of my brain was screaming for an explanation. An acoustic anomaly? A pressure change in the building? But the door physically moved. I replayed the footage over and over. The door trembles. The hallway is empty. The two facts refuse to coexist peacefully in my mind. For a week, this was my new reality. Every night at 3:33, 3 invisible knocks. Every night, I'd watch the footage, hoping to see something, anything. Prankster hiding just out of frame, a technical glitch. But there was nothing. The fear started to seep into my days. I became jumpy, irritable. My focus at work shattered. Found myself staring at clocks, dreading the approach of that unholy hour. My rational mind was losing its grip, replaced by a primal fear I hadn't felt since I was a child afraid of the dark. I started talking to my neighbors. I'd catch them in the elevator, by the mailboxes. Hey, weird question, but have you heard any strange noises late at night? It's like knocking, I'd ask, trying to sound casual. They'd just give me strange looks. No, it's a pretty quiet floor, one woman told me, inching away slightly. They thought I was the weird one. Maybe I was, and things escalated. Last Tuesday, I was watching the live feed as usual. 3:33 a.m. Thump, thump. But this time, something was different. After the knocks, a shadow flickered at the edge of the camera's view. It was quick, a blink and dual miss it distortion, like heat haze off asphalt. But the hallway was cool. I rewound the footage, playing it back in slow motion. There it was. A tall, thin shadow, featureless and warped, gliding past my door just after the final knock. It didn't have the shape of a person. It was too long, too fluid. It moved with an unnatural grace that made my stomach clench. It wasn't a shadow cast by anything. It was the shadow itself, moving independently. My rational mind had no file for this. It was like trying to solve an equation where the numbers kept changing into letters. I didn't sleep at all that night, or the next. I drank coffee until my hands shook, just to stay awake. The thought of closing my eyes, of being vulnerable in the dark, was unbearable. The shadow appeared again the next night, and the night after that. It was becoming part of the ritual. 3 knocks, then the silent, gliding passage of that impossible shape. I felt like a scientist observing a phenomenon that defied all known laws of physics. I started documenting everything, writing down times, descriptions, my own psychological state. It was the only thing that kept me from feeling like I was completely losing my mind. The journal was my anchor to rationality, even as it described the most irrational events. 3 nights ago, the pattern broke. I was glued to my phone screen, waiting. 3:33 a.m. Thump. 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 I held my breath, waiting for the shadow, but it didn't appear. Instead, there was a 4th knock. Thump. It was softer than the others, almost hesitant. And then, a sound that made every hair on my body stand on end. A whisper. It was faint, right up against the door, so quiet I almost missed it. The microphone on the security camera barely picked it up, a staticky hiss that formed a single, chilling word. Soon. My phone clattered to the floor. I scrambled back on my couch, pulling my knees to my chest, my eyes locked on the door. Soon. Soon for what? The ambiguity was a form of torture. The silence that followed was heavier, more menacing than any sound. The city noises from 27 floors below, the distant sirens, the hum of traffic, seemed a million miles away. I was in my own isolated bubble of terror, spent the entire next day in a state of high alert. I considered leaving, going to a hotel, staying with a friend. But where would I go? What would I say? Hey, can I crash on your couch? An invisible entity is knocking on my door and whispering threats. They'd have me committed. Plus, a terrifying thought took root in my mind. What if it wasn't attached to the apartment? What if it was attached to me? What if I left and it just followed? The idea of being haunted not in a place but as a person was a new level of horror, so I stayed. I barricaded my door. I pushed my heavy oak dining table against it, wedged chairs under the handle. It was a futile, pathetic gesture, and I knew it. If this thing could knock without being there, a table wasn't going to stop it, but it was all I could do to feel a sliver of control. Last night was the worst. I was in my fortress of furniture, watching the camera feed. 3:33 a.m. came and went. Nothing, no knocks, no shadows, no whispers. The silence was deafening. Stayed up, watching, until the sun began to rise, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. A sliver of hope began to warm me. Maybe it was over. Maybe it had given up. Exhausted, I finally allowed myself to drift into a light, uneasy sleep on the couch. I woke up a few hours later, stiff and groggy. As I went to make coffee, I noticed it. Slipped under my front door, lying on the welcome mat, was a small, folded piece of paper. My blood turned to ice. My barricade was still in place. The table hadn't moved an inch. No one could have gotten in or out. With a trembling hand, I picked it up. It was a page torn from a notepad. The handwriting was jagged, frantic, scrawled in black ink. It was just 5 words, but they shattered the last remnants of my sanity. I know you're watching. I'm recording this now because I don't know what else to do. The sun is setting again, and the dread is a physical weight in my chest. It knows I have the camera. It knows I can see it, even when it's invisible. It was toying with me. The silence last night wasn't an ending. It was a new move in its terrifying game. And now, it has communicated directly. It has breached my apartment without opening the door. The barrier between its world and mine is gone. I don't know what will happen tonight at 3:33 a.m. I don't know if it will knock or whisper or simply enter. The rational man I used to be is gone, replaced by this trembling wreck. All I know is that I am being hunted by something I cannot understand. So, if you're watching this, please, listen to me. Logic can't save you from everything. Science can't explain it all. Some doors are meant to stay closed. So tonight, lock your doors. Check them twice. And whatever you do, if you hear a knock late at night, don't answer. Subscribe for what happens next. I'm still here to tell you.